it's so good to see you after so many years. I met you in Indore. And I would like to thank you first for agreeing to give this interview on women in architecture, one of my research going on. And I will come with some questions to you. But before that, I would like to take your permission to get this recording done, as well as the text which we are going to put in our manuscript. And it's so nice to see you. Yeah.
Good evening, Mansee and team. And indeed, it's a pleasure to be part of your research, or in any way that I can be of any help, or, my inputs helping or encouraging your research work is. Hello.
Yeah, yes, we hear you. Please continue.
Yeah.
So, thank you. So you are fine with recording?
So I think we can move ahead with your series of questions or whatever you wish to know. And indeed, it's a pleasure meeting you, seeing you, although through virtual,
yes.
On virtual format. But that's how I would say it's a temporary new normal. Not a new normal.
Yes, indeed. But I was anyway planning it to be a virtual meeting for all the people, because I cannot travel to all the parts of the country. So for me, it is really it is not a different thing. I mean, of course, I would love to travel to all parts of the country to meet the women, but it was not going to happen, So for me, the mode is really the same. But yes, चाय पे बैठ के हम लोग कॉफी पीते, पकोड़े खाते तो अलग बात थी, और बातें करते. आपके 56 दुकान साइड पे बैठ के बातें करते तो और मजा आता.
Yes.
Nevertheless, I would like to start with the question and bring you back probably 30 years ago, when you were in high school, and when you had this, situation with you and your parents deciding what to do, what not to do. What made you land up in architecture? What was going on? Can you recall?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there is nobody like architect or engineer in our family. At that point of time, that was nowhere in the picture. My father was an academician, although he is a Hindustani classical vocalist, and he was dean and HOD of vocal music, Haragad Music University, Indra Kala Sangeet Vishwavidyalaya, if you have heard of. And very proudly, I would like to say that I was born to very educated parents. Not even educated, they were pretty broad-minded, especially if I am talking about times 30 years ago or 40 years ago. And we are 4 sisters, and I'm the third one. So, and my mother also, she was a teacher. She was a postgraduate of those times, and a very cultured lady. So there was never any binding. I mean, we had very good, I can say, family values, culture in place. Everything we were exposed to, and we were living in a small town which was basically known for its Raj Parivar, that kind of thing, and because of this music university. And there were a lot of people across the nation, so it became like a mini India, a very small town. So that way, exposure was there, but in such a small town, architecture was nowhere seen. But incidentally, I had a lot of interest in subjects like maths and all, and the only opportunity for me to study math was in technical school, which was there in Haragad. And at that time, there was no girl studying in technical school. It used to be a boys' school. Luckily, I met my friend's father, who was principal of technical school, and 2-3 girls, we got really interested in pursuing math, and he said, okay, I am willing to open the doors for you girls, because it was such a small place that the math stream was not available in girls' school. Okay, it was that kind of setup, so you can understand the scale of things. So we said, okay, my parents also agreed, and I joined technical school where we were studying engineering, drawing, engineering, science, apart from regular PCM subjects. So my interest definitely grew. I was always interested in drawing, and my mother used to tell me when I was a very small child, 5, 6 years old, when I used to walk on streets, I would always be drawing something with my hands, uh, like that. So, and definitely coming from a family which was a lot in music, literature, and things like that. So that was the backing, but definitely that was not my ultimate passion. I learned Kathak for 6 years, but that was not something which I was aiming at. I always liked things which had a technical bent as well as something which has got to do with arts, things like that. So pure engineering never interested me. So incidentally, one of my senior, he got into Manit architecture. There was only one seat from there, and he got into it. Although he didn't join, he joined Raipur College of Engineering. And so looking at him, I thought, yeah, this is that field. Architecture is something which has science in it, which has arts in it, the drawing part, which really interests me. And mm, I mean, that's how I decided that I should pursue architecture. And in those times, there was no such coaching and things available. So I wasn't too sure. But yeah, I gave it a shot, and I just got where I wanted to be. So by God's grace, I got into architecture. And my parents, I would like to say about them that they had been very, very encouraging or very confident of whatever we wanted to do. They never stopped us from doing anything, and especially, having 4 daughters, it's a big thing. Of those, if I'm talking about 30-40 years, उस समय का जो मतलब जिस समय उस समय जैसा होता था, so that thing I think was very, very nice, and that has, yeah.
Yeah, because interesting, because we are also 4 sisters and I'm the second one, by the way, and very similar. Yeah, these are the kind of reflections I'm really relating with everybody. Somewhere down in their life, there are certain pieces which, we have a pattern. And parents were, even till they really back it up with whatever we decide. Whether we fail or succeed is immaterial. They were just there for us, despite knowing that they were odd parents having only girls, because in the family it was a big issue, having girls only. So it's good to know that we have a common start there. And also we come from the same college, you being my senior, so I can pretty much imagine how our college life is. So I will bring the next question here. When we were studying in undergraduate and postgraduate, you can link also. There is not much distinction as a girl or a boy in the class. Teachers don't make those distinctions, right? And we are also not aware of it, and especially when we see in these colleges and all, girls are outperforming boys in the class, especially in architecture. But still, I would like you to remember sometime around 4th year, 5th year, because in our days, MSCT also did not have training. So if you recall, so what was it going on in your head? Because I also remember that in our time, many people were aiming to go abroad, and some people like us, despite being, good students in the classroom, we were not aiming to go abroad. So what kind of, goosebumps, like what next was going around in your final year or just immediately after you graduated? You are a year before, if you recall, and a year senior to me.
So while pursuing architecture, of course, I mean, at the time of entering, we didn't know much what architecture was. But eventually, looking at our seniors getting into SPA, SEPT, and some of my good friends like Rupa, she was planning to go abroad. And I do question myself in, in today's date.
So in retrospection, you mean?
That why I did not aim for going abroad. Not that I wanted to. Sorry?
I'm saying in retrospection, when you look at it.
Yes, yes. That probably I never thought that I can do this or I should aim for it. It was as if I thought that I should move step by step. Coming from a very small town, I thought coming to Bhopal, manage that itself was a big platform, meeting students all over India level kind of institute we had. And then going to SPA and SEP, I thought that was, I always thought, moving step by step is always a good policy rather than really jumping onto something. And so probably that kept me. And one more thing I would say, it was always about thinking about parents also, what could be comfortable for them as well. So, and needless to say, they always supported, they never questioned why architecture, why even PG. I said, after, because architecture itself is a 5 years, program. It's a long program as compared to other graduation programs. So they never questioned it. I said, I want to appear in GATE, I want to do my PG. So they always supported. And because my hometown, that Kharagar town I'm talking about, that is in Chhattisgarh area. So traveling to Delhi for my PG, or like I ended up doing my PG in SPA. So it was never a concern for them that how this would happen, why it should happen. So I think with their support, and definitely I always looked at things that that exposure has to happen, because in Manet, of course, we got a lot of exposure, but the moment you go to institutes like SP or SEP, premier institutes, you get very different kind of exposure. And that probably, that is why I decided that I should go for my post-graduation. And I think your question...
Yeah, I want to know what was the kind of dilemma in the head. Was there a time when you were already realizing, because by the time we are 5 years in graduation, parents ki to antenna already get started for our marriage and all, because we are 22, 23. Yeah, of course, we are privileged and blessed to have parents who had very open, mind for us. But I was keen to understand this whole dynamics, because in undergraduate and postgraduate, were you feeling the heat of being a girl in the profession? Because we only realize it in, at least I can relate, so that you can know what I am looking for. Once we are in the field, we start realizing, or once we are looking for job, we start realizing that being woman is different in the profession. And until we are studying, we really don't feel the gender issue. At least I did not feel the gender issue until I came out of the college. And you were as similar dabang as me, if I recall. So we didn't feel really this difference. Being woman is not a, is not either privilege or not a disadvantage, I will say. So it was not even a discussion ever that, But I'm keen to know, did it come? Did it come? And when did it come in your life?
No, I don't think, at least at that, in that period, I don't think I ever realized that being a girl ever different, or probably it was parenting, it was our upbringing, that we were never made to think that you are a girl or a boy. Of course, society's pressure was always there. Okay, char betiyon ki family and things like that. But our parents somehow made sure that we never get that kind of feel. We were made to feel as equal as anybody else. Any other boy or girl. So probably that kept us going. And
I guess so.
In my undergraduation, I never felt that I am a girl. Of course, in college also, there were a lot of things happening. There was a lot of discrimination as such from boys' side, or girls can do this, girls cannot do this. And to break those rules, I remember we did a lot of notorious things also. I mean, if you can recall, there used to be a college bus. Okay. And of course, people preferred to walk down to our hostels. We all preferred to walk down. But there was a trend that the college bus would never go to our hostel, girls' hostel.
Girls' hostel, it will never come.
It will never come. So me and one of my friend, Vandana, we decided one day, we boarded the bus from the college just for the sake of, breaking that thing which was there in everyone's mind. We boarded the bus and we told the driver that you take this bus first to girls hostel, then this would go to boys hostel. So I mean, that's how I've been throughout, I can say. Of course, it mellowed down a bit eventually in life as you get married and you become responsible for many other things. But this is how it happened. And we did many such things to break
so
those
it was there in the
stigmas or
background.
whatever.
Which means it was there in the background in our head somewhere. Despite in architecture, we are quite a number of girls as compared to other engineering sections.
Yeah, definitely. And in fact, we did a lot of things, even in freshers party, if you can recall, we were, probably you were already privileged because we broke that rule. In freshers party, it was, the rule was like this, that we were supposed to go in our uniform only, the ragging uniform. Okay.
Oh my
we
God.
said, no, nothing doing. Nothing doing. With the help of a final year student, she was very encouraging and all. She said, okay, you all do this very, elegant kind of fashion show and you dress up like that and you go for the freshers night. So that was the starting point of breaking all these stupid rules and bringing in that change. So I have personally believed in that, and I was lucky enough to have that kind of friend circle or support from seniors, juniors, colleagues, that, it never broke my confidence, or that's how it has been.
Yeah. So with your postgraduate, if I recall and know you so in so many years, because we had a lot of years of disconnect because we got busy in our own life building. Yeah. So you returned to Indore and you started your practice and family and so on, or you were also in between working somewhere with, or it is just that I know.
No. After doing my post-graduation, I got married. My husband is in Merchant Navy. He's a chief engineer. And so for initial 1.5 years, I all sailed with him, saw the world around. 25, it's now 25 years of my marriage. So 25 years ago, I got to see, pyramids from Egypt and Venice. And so it was very glamorous, I would say. But eventually I came back and I started working for Bali Benjamin Associates in Delhi. That was for a very short tenure. I thought of moving to Hong Kong. I got my work visa and all there. It was very nice, but somehow I didn't move there also. Then I came to Bhopal. I worked in Bhopal for quite some time with Arcon's architect Ajay Kataria. I was working there. Then slowly, gradually, I started my practice as well, and especially when I conceived. So that was a time I used to partially go to his office, and because I had become kind of a team leader and all, I was responsible for many jobs. And then I would also do some part for my practice, and this is how things were going on until my daughter was born. And I have 2 daughters. Yeah. So when we were on family way, my husband decided to quit Merchant Navy. It was for a very temporary phase, although. So he tried to set up his business and all. And we took a flat kind of thing for our office setup so that I can also have, like, it was a 3 BHK kind of thing. So in one room, he had his setup. In one room, I had my setup. And another room was for my daughter. So I was lucky enough to get a girl who was a kind of caretaker for my daughter. And I would carry her, both of them, in our car to that office so that I can take care of my daughter. I can be around to, so that
you were already feeling, actually, you were already into that womanhood. What I was going to ask you the next question, how do you really do this family, work, life, passion, balance, and children, of course. So you were already understanding the game of being woman in here, so You have to find out a schedule and
Yes.
then understand the whole game, you know, how to deal with it.
Yeah, yeah. So that's how one thing I would like to emphasize is that one should be having that attitude of problem solving. There are always problems in life. Okay, all sorts of problems. So if you have that problem solving attitude in life, you can achieve many things. And that is what has kept me going so far. So that was a phase when you have such small, child. And incidentally, my second daughter was born just after 1.5 years.
Oh my God.
So they're like twins.
Little,
yeah. So somehow this is how I managed my 3-4 years of time of when they were born. And then finally I decided, my husband went back to shipping because we knew that it's a very temporary kind of thing. And I decided to move to Bangalore. And
wow.
I went to
so
Bangalore.
I didn't know your Bangalore stunt. Okay.
I went to Delhi to give an interview.
Yeah, because I'm keen
I went
because
to
it's good. You are actually flowing ahead of my questions because I was going to ask what were the life-changing moments. So, yes, so you went to Bangalore. Please go ahead.
No, you can frame your question, then I'll fit in my answer.
It is better that it flows like this, you know, that's more important for me because it's your life.
Okay.
So I have very broad questions, trust me. So yeah, so you went to Bangalore.
Okay.
So another stunt with 2 little children and, so brave lady. Yes. So for that, you also decided to take an interview in Delhi.
Yeah, I went to Delhi to give the interview and I wasn't too sure what would my husband say, what would my in-laws say and things like that. But lucky enough, I would say men in your life do play a very important role.
Yes.
Like the kind of support I got from my father and similar support I get from my husband. He is also a very liberal person. So that way, he never treats you are a woman, I'm a man. So that kind of thing doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So it is really fortunate, I would say.
Yes, absolutely.
And he said, okay, if you feel confident, go ahead. But the challenge was pretty big, moving from Bhopal to Bangalore with a truckload and managing everything when your husband is away. He's not there to support.
Yeah, he's many of the times he will be away because he returns after a few months and all.
Yeah, yeah. So when I shifted, he wasn't there. My mother came along because I had my children were really young at that time. My elder one was, I think, 4.5 years. So the Bangalore stay was very nice. I worked at Venkatramanan and Associates. That gave me a lot of exposure. Yeah. Because I worked in Bhopal, that was, I would say my basics came from there only. The clarity in my designs and ideas, that came from there. But the exposure, how to deal large scale projects and everything. Of course, with the backing of urban planning, you get to see everything in larger perspective. You learn to handle things, even though you're not practicing core urban planning projects. But so Bangalore experience was really good. But somewhere down the line, I started feeling that professionally, I'm doing very well. And where I'm working, it's a very large scale, a very organized firm, and it's known for its organizational, transparency and working style and everything. But it was getting challenging with reference to the quality of time I was able to offer to both my children. And I thought my ambition is going to, keep on growing. And at that point of time, there were not enough flights from connecting South India to central part of India, Madhya Pradesh, Bhopal and all. Getting reservation used to be a big challenge. So I thought, with whatever exposure I have got, let me shift to Indore because I had explored Bhopal and I didn't want to go back there. I wanted some change. And Naresh, who is heading VA. So he kept on insisting, what is making you going, what is making you take this decision? If you say, I will open a creche close to our office, you can put your children there, both your daughters there. And in fact, my husband was instantly at that time in Bangalore. He was on vacation. So he met my husband also, tried to convince him that ask her not to take this decision. It's like a U-turn or whatever. But somewhere down the line, I was also clear that this is not my ultimate aim to continue to work for someone, whether a small or large scale town. I want to have my own practice, which I had already started prior to reaching Bangalore. So, but then I had decided and I came to shifted
so
to
another
Indore.
city then, new city.
Yeah, another city, which happened 15 years ago. Yes. I shifted to Indore in 2006. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
interesting. So you did not think twice. Of course you thought many times, but changing place then, which also means making new network, finding project base, and it's quite a daring thing. One thing which is coming out very common in most of the women life whom we have tried to explore through this research is that women are daring to take risks. So this is something very interesting and also coming out very clear in your case, because if somebody has to think to start practice in Indore without having a project on hand, you need some kind of daring. It's not that easy, and especially with again 2 children are to be put to the school, and you have to again work on the schedule and things like that. And so this is again a very common trait which is seen in many successful women, that they are willing to explore and not submitting to what's coming. Even if it is very good, they do want to explore other opportunities. So good. So we move to the next round of things, and I'm still wanting to come back to the whole issue of being women in the profession. So because you had this exposure of working in Bangalore and then previously in Delhi and of course in Bhopal, I would like to know from the fraternity if you had this kind of some, a woman being woman either in the field or in the office or in the design discussion or in, project presentation or something, both ways. Be having the opportunity or experiencing some kind of challenge or some incidents where someone makes you realize anything, both opportunities and challenges which you have exercised. I mean, just by an example you can give. Of course, we have many in our lives, but something which you may like to get registered,
I would say these are, you would find all sorts of people in your life.
Yes.
Okay. I am one person who normally doesn't like to generalize things, because that generalization doesn't do justice to any discussion. Because if I say I found someone who was trying to do some kind of discrimination, at the same time there are people who came forward, trusted, believed in you, and gave you that opportunity. So it depends what you are willing to take, what you are willing to keep aside.
We want to know some examples from you for both of the options. We would like to get some examples from you. What kind of discrimination you may have experienced, or what kind of opportunities you experienced being a woman. So of course we had ample, but something which you would like to really. Sorry, I'm just telling you because what the kind of thing I'm looking from you.
Okay.
कभी-कभी फायदा भी तो होता है महिला होने का.
Yeah. Discrimination, I would say there are times when people don't want to acknowledge your.
Yes,
am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Okay. So there are times when people want to really discriminate and they don't want to acknowledge your presence either.
Yeah. So it is always
when there have been few meetings, I would say, especially. No, even now.
Even now?
Because
Okay.
especially when you go to, in fact, I attended a meeting 2 years ago. It was in a government office, and I hadn't met that gentleman earlier. I had heard his name. He was at a very good position, and luckily we have done a lot of projects which, you know, which are at least acknowledged in Indore city. People know about it. So that gentleman started asking. He started from, asking my name. Who am I? What do I do? So that was just to make you feel uncomfortable, so that
Yes.
you, you know, you don't feel confident enough to take part in that discussion, because it was like an open forum discussion, and he kind of behaved as if he knows everyone
Not you.
except, except for me.
I also
So that
experienced
was a
2 months
very clear.
ago. Hmm? 2 months ago, I had
two
to.
two years 2 years
No, I also experienced the
Okay.
same 2 months ago when I was an invited guest and I was made to sit outside the officer's office. Whereas the officer had
Okay.
invited me with all flight ticket, car, and everything. And then I'm waiting outside, and then the officer does not recognize you. And this
Okay.
gets very bizarre. I think these are
Yeah.
subtleties. They don't do it intentionally, but if we are observing, we can take note of it. Otherwise, if we don't observe, it can be ignored as well. So, I mean, these are
So that's what you
subtleties.
keep it aside, and
Hmm.
yeah.
You keep it aside, you have to move
And
ahead.
yes, that's what.
We have to
In
change
terms
it.
of opportunities, I would say, somewhere, being a woman, the way we deal a subject, sometimes that gives us a plus point. How we convey, how we communicate our design or our ideas. Sometimes I wouldn't again generalize this, but women are more sensible while dealing a particular subject. So that must have given me an edge over other presentations, or other people around. And I would say that was the opportunity throughout, which has kept us going, and our journey so far.
I know you are a very successful woman architect, all in the list, even in the country, of course, in the state for sure. So I will go to the next round of questions, I will say, and we are going pretty well, to be honest. And you are quite straightforwardly answering, and you are not meandering. So in the answers. So yeah, you have worked with so many people, like, even as a career, but also as heading the organization which you have. I still would like to see some ideal cases where you have encountered, where you think, these kind of situations happened when I really felt that the other side of the group or team, or it can be contractor, it can be client, it can be same fraternity. They really made me feel like equal, not supreme, not not demeaning, but some kind of ideal situations or some ideal people in your life. Of course, you mentioned about your father and your husband who have been very supportive, but it is also important to find out some people around in the fraternity who work, not only architects, but contractors, clients, and all, who have gone past this, taboo of being women in the profession, and they really are open about, and they are more gender neutral. They are more concerned about getting the work done, whether it is done by a woman or a man. It is immaterial.
Yeah.
Have you met those kind of ideal citizens, I will say? Even because women clients are also sometimes biased about women architects. So that's why I'm just putting it open.
Definitely.
Yeah.
In fact, when I came to Indore, as you yourself mentioned, I was totally new to the city. I hadn't worked here. I didn't study here. So it was starting from the scratch, very scratch. And after shifting here, I think 2 years later, 2 years later, I established Nine Squares Architects. And it was pretty difficult. Okay. But then my first project was through a builder only. I met him through one of our common friend here, and I give all the credit, or the majority of the credit of this journey, 9 Squares journey, to that gentleman, that builder, that client of mine who trusted, because I didn't have any project to show here
Yes,
in
yes, I'm
Indore,
hearing.
because typically people say, okay, yeah, if you're going to show your portfolio, okay, which is the project which you have done here in Indore. So the closest city was Bhopal, which I had, where I had worked earlier. But there also my projects were more with the firm with whom for whom I was working, rather than my own projects, because those were just the starting projects. So that gentleman trusted me, gave me the project. He asked me, okay, you come up with your concept and everything. And then things clicked, and that's how it moved on. Then I was introduced through that gentleman only to another group of builders, his friends, wherein they were partners with, different, with in different name. So that is how it kept on going. And there was a point of time, initial 5-6 years, we were doing a lot of real estate projects, and all these male clients would come. They would sit. The good part is that they gave us work, but the bad part was that they would sit for 3-4-5 years, 5 hours, and they would want us to work and rework. And जो meetings थी वो ऐसे लंबी चलती, they would say, you go and ये इसमें कुछ एक छोटा सा change है, please get this done from your staff, your team. So we were really working hard to prove ourselves. Definitely, I can say, being a woman, you have to prove more than what others have to. So I did dedicate a lot of time, energy, to my, to this early years of this journey, and that is what helped. And these client of mine, they were definitely understanding enough. They were they could appreciate what we did. So that is the best part.
I think this trust that you will deliver is very important. As you rightly mentioned, you had no projects at the background to really pitch for a new project. Although you had vast experience, so that also counts in our profession. And if I can add here, that builders are also looking for always newness of ideas, and they do show some kind of, and also this is again part of my studies finding, that they are also looking for people where they can dictate more terms and get the things done, and also get the work done in lesser fee. And some of the findings also say that they kind of anticipate that women will be charging less, just like we see in other field also. Bollywood has been discussed a lot in this matter and all. So there is kind of a prejudice also when people reach out to it, but then it is up to us how we capitalize those opportunities and work through it. Yeah, very good. So you were also already talking about women are more sensible to asking, also to catering to questions, and catering to project requirements and all, which brings me to a very interesting question, which is not about life, but also I have a very question which I want you to imagine. So now we know that our profession is still male dominated, despite the fact that there are same number of girls and boys join the school. But you being in the practice, you know very well that very few women end up becoming practitioners. Those who are categorized as architect, as I mentioned, an important component of my research is that why only those women are considered architects who are practicing in building. So, and you are among those few women, so I would like to ask you to imagine that more of the architects in the city are women practitioners. So we are flipping the situation in the city. So there are more female architects practicing in the city, than male as of today. If that was the situation, or if that is the situation, what do you think will be a change in the way cities are built, or what will be the change in the built environment? So if I have to see there are 10 or 20 Shrutis rather than those big tall names in Indore, how would the city be different? Or what is the change we can bring? Or what the profession can change? Anything you can take up on.
I think as we say that women are more sensible, so we would see cities as more, more soft in the way the kind of development is happening. It's too rapid, or the kind of commercialization is happening. Somewhere that will be controlled. If I imagine all the master plan makers to be women to begin with. So
smart
that will be
makers.
smart city makers will be women. So that will definitely bring in a good change, in the sense we will be seeing more balanced outcomes. Not to doubt that.
For example,
again, although I do not, for example, the kind of projects like in smart city, the kind of projects which are taken up. Okay. And one more thing, women are very sincere. Okay. Very sincere in whatever task they take up in their hands. So like from my office, we are known for our fast deliveries, fast working. We have done many projects which have been really time bound, like this Chappan project. This was done in just 56 days. It was just an idea floated. Okay, let's do it in 56 days. Rather, it was completed in 45 days. So it's not that there is something unique with us that we could do it. It was our dedication, our sincerity, that teamwork. And I would definitely like to thank from the bottom of my heart the entire team which works together to do all these, to make interesting deliveries and all. But that is what makes our way of working different from others, unique from others. So if I generalize it in same way that, all major projects are being handled by women, I expect the same kind of sincerity, dedication, and delivery, because they're very meticulous also. They believe if you see how a homemaker works, time to every minute management is happening. And it does happen with professional women also. They have to balance both parts of the life, their personal life as well as professional lives, and they do all the minute to minute management. So that management part is definitely going to be much better. And I would say that women are much better in communication. Okay. I've seen this number of times when I give certain instruction to someone, I ensure 2-3 times that the person has understood, has followed.
It's a nagging mother. It's a nagging mother.
And
it's a nagging mother syndrome.
I would also do a follow-up. I would also do a follow-up to know if it has been executed in same way or not. Whereas men, when they communicate, they assume that the person has understood. Whereas half of the things are not even communicated. So that gap will be bridged, and effective communication brings in a lot of efficiency. So what we see in our cities, because there are some beautiful ideas, beautiful concepts, and अच्छी policies and sab kuch hai, but where do we lag? It is execution of those.
Execution of the.
So probably, so that management and communication, I wouldn't say women are better architects or men are better architects. It's person to person.
Individual.
So it's individual based, but these skills of managing things in better way, better communication, being more efficient would make cities actually smarter. What we are
I'm
looking
keen
at
to know
smart
what is smarter for you. I'm really keen what is that smarter, because you threw an
smarter for
interesting
me
point here.
is,
So
yeah,
I'll just add another question to you so that you can answer
yeah.
both of them together. Because you mentioned this point that we are very good managers and all, I am intrigued with this notion that do you somewhere indirectly hinting that, okay, leadership and decision, if they, even if they stay with the men and if the women are executing it, because you also mentioned that execution is the problem, we can or women folks can deliver and execute in more meticulous or more detailed manner. I will still have my antennas on that the right decision hua hai ki nahi also has to be questioned, or is it fine? I mean, it is just an off track question for me, but just because you mentioned it, so I'm still looking for what is that smarter or city which, if more women architects or the leading decision makers or designers in the city, some changes which you will see in the city. Just exemplifying.
Uh, for me, any project that has been envisaged, if it is just pending in files, doesn't make any city smart. That execution part has to happen, of course. And my idea is not that women are better managers or women are better executors, but it's about the whole thing. How management doesn't mean that it is only you become a manager and somebody else is taking the decision.
Yes.
Okay, so
So
being
it's,
lady
you're
of
meaning
the
both.
house, you take, yes, being lady of the house, you take so many decisions. So don't you think that leadership skill or that decision making skill is inherent in a woman?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is,
Yes,
definitely.
indeed.
So indeed. So and with that sensibility, leadership skill along with that sensibility is an excellent combination. So women would definitely contribute that way in efficient and sensible decisions. And if that management and execution is also followed up,
Yes.
In a very positive way, we would be seeing wonderful results in our cities. Any plan, I mean, if I bureaucracy is one thing, but I myself know that there are so many projects that we work on, but most of them are dumped in
Yes.
files,
Their idea levels.
pending.
Hmm.
Yeah. So if all that, even 50% of that comes into execution part, we'll be seeing very different kind of picture.
And then we are imagining if we upscale that there are more women, because as women, I said this is something also which is coming out very clear from friends, and like now you also speak about it. We are constantly, exploring ideas to make things better, to make the built environment better. No matter whether it is getting executed or not, it is just now that if they get executed, we will have much better built environment. I think it's a beautiful way to put the response here, because it will be interesting to see, or if I get some time to work on it, you get time to work on it. What is that beautiful city if women were designing? Because if they are the mothers and creators, what will be that? Because we do say that they are meticulous, they are this, they are. So we are talking about it. So you basically are, I'm just going to put a metaphor here. So one thing is doing right thing, that is the decision part. And another thing is doing right thing rightly, which is where we often are lagging, or which is where we, I think as women, we are seeing things much more clearer, because my understanding says that women have the more ability to, unclutter things and see that what kind of problems are going to happen. So more complex thinking है हमारे पास कि ये problem हो सकती है या ये problem आएगी. We, as you rightly mentioned, that we invest a lot of time in communication, and
Yes.
so even if there is more problem, more nagging, but communication happens more. And that also tells that we are in favor of slowing down the process of doing things rather than jumping into decision and just doing something and then realizing something has gone wrong, which is our cities, by the way. So most of the infrastructure and all.
Women have a lot of patience, not to forget. By temperament, we are much more patient than men. So that is also a bonus, a plus point while handling things, not jumping onto certain decisions, jumping onto, any kind of conclusion. So that can also, when you're talking about slowing down of this rapid or hasty development, we can say. So that probably can help.
Do you think people will get convinced about this fact? Although Corona is telling us to be convinced, because everybody wants things to be done like this, and we are, as women, many of us are actually not conveniently, sorry, we convince people that it is important to first discuss, have a more detailed plan of execution, and really rethink 100 times before doing anything. Do you think the society has time in this phase of evolution? India has time. I have my doubts that India is really waiting to slow down. They just want to jump and jump and jump high. So it will be a problem. But anyway, it's difficult for us to discuss.
I think it's not the speed that is problematic. Okay, we see Japan and many such countries running such fast trains, we can't even think about the speed. Okay, so it's not the speed that is the problematic thing. It's about the whole process. Are you ready for that speed? Okay, so if you have all the technical details, all the planning, all the design in place, you can run the train at that speed. But if you haven't planned, if you don't have that kind of technical background or that soundness or the team with you, you cannot think of running the trains at bullet speed. So it's not the speed which is problematic.
So we have so desire to run. We have the desire to run bullet train, but we have to do the background work for it. Smart city is a bullet train. For me, smart city is a bullet train.
But do you think Japan and all, they don't give enough time in brainstorming, in doing things in very meticulous? They are the most meticulous people, I would say.
I have worked in Japan, so I know they do. Even if it looks things are changing very fast, there is a serious deliberation process which goes in the background.
Yes.
That happens very smoothly. That's a different discussion altogether. That goes to the bureaucracy and all those things, and transparency in the process of city development, which we have to still work a lot. So we have to take a different discussion on city and smart city because we want to focus on women here. That happily brings us to the last question today, and I'm sure you have enjoyed this very smooth flow of conversation and it was not stressful for you. So my last question to you is about a message to the younger generation. And the message is more focused toward how we can make this profession more gender neutral. So the message is not, of course, for girls or boys, but how can the profession be made more gender neutral in various aspects? What can we do, or what can they do? It's for them. So
I think the coming generation, they themselves realize that I don't think they believe in too much discrimination. So to some extent, the problem has already been sorted, or it's in the process. Of course, this particular thing is about the educated lot only, and we are talking about architecture in specific, in general. But one message to women architect or the young ladies, budding architects, I would say, don't leave things just like that. And that is what I mean. You will face a lot of challenges, you will face a lot of problems, but the very inherent quality in a woman is to be able to solve all kind of problems, because they face a lot of problems in their houses also, but they do it very smoothly mostly. But they don't, if the moment they start doing the same things, apply same things, apply same attitude within their professional working, they'll be able to move ahead. And the moment women show that kind of vigor, women show that kind of attitude, कि उनको quit नहीं करना है, that itself will put them on a higher platform. Because why people make fun of, why this gender discrimination happens, if I have proved myself, I will be able to cut the noise, whatever is happening around, and I can move on. I wouldn't say that there are not, people won't talk about women, yes, or whatever, or won't question. But at least once I have proved myself, this is what I am, this is what I want to do, there'll be lesser questions. So similarly, what happens, people, girls, they get married, they are in the hands of their families. If they allow them to work or travel far or work till late, all these decisions, if these are taken in combined way by men and women, it will be a better situation. So this is what my message is. And another thing I would want to say, it's for girls and boys both, that they need to work for longer tenure in any office. People literally jump within 1 or 2 years, they want to start their practice, which is not a good thing. If you have taken enough exposure from a good office, whether small, medium or large scale, it will give you that kind of confidence how to handle things, so that you don't fail, or you will know what are your mistakes and how it is to be corrected. So if that approach is there, when you're working in any office, I think one should work for at least 4 to 5 years. This is my very strong message to everyone, whether boys or girls, that they should work minimum 4 to 5 years. That much is required to learn how practice is happening in architecture, and that will make you really strong to take your own decisions for the profession, what you want to continue.
I think it's a very valid point, because I do see that people are jumping into teaching, and teaching is itself becomes very, I will say, unfair for the junior lot if a yes, fresh pass out starts teaching, and I'm seeing more and more of this. But a very important point is that you work with somebody, some seniors, and in our profession, seniors are very accommodative, I mean, we are always yes, open to take along the juniors in the profession. So they do have to work probably that way. That also helps them not only with gaining confidence, but then they learn the environment of team working, which is very important in architecture, urban design and planning. Because if they start early, they have lesser inclination to build the team, So this yes, will be also an important thing for them to take it further. Yeah, good. So we have come to an end of this conversation. That's for the questions which I had. It was very nice that you had smooth. You had answers for most of them, and you were flowing smooth. I hope you had no issues with the questions, but at the same time, if you have any question for me, you may also pose it for me now, and then we can bring an end to it.
It is definitely very, very interesting, and this kind of candid conversation, it rarely happens, and this is a very important topic which you are working on. My best wishes to you, and I really enjoyed the whole idea of it, and your questions were also very interesting. So
it's very simple, huh? We didn't ask you about the architecture work and all, and I also know you have 2 daughters. I didn't ask about them because we are focusing on your life, but of course they are part of your life. So what we will do is we are going to send you this recording as well as the text after transcribing it. you may give your consent. After that, we are going to edit and do all the things. Yeah. So I see that you don't have any question for me, so we can call it a formal off for the conversation. And thank you so much, Shruti, for taking out time. It's not easy for women architects who have to do so many things. We are already in that Ma Durga mode, with one hand in the kitchen and one hand in the wardrobe, one hand in the child's bag, and one hand in the desk with the mouse. So thank you so much. I look forward to learning more about you.
Add one point.
Please go.
I would like to add one point. Yeah. In my life, especially, I would say I have always relied on my support system. So a very strong message I would like to pass on to all women architects, especially the young ones, that try to develop a good support system.
Yeah.
The basic reason why I shifted from Bangalore to Indore was that here my elder sister lives. Okay. So I found that small support system, although I had to start from scratch, rewrite the whole thing. But I thought that emotional and social kind of backing I would get here, because Bangalore was entirely new. I wouldn't say that if I had continued in Bangalore, things would have been, bad or something. Things could have been sorted there as well. But it was my idea to come and practice in Madhya Pradesh and give my services whatever possible. So that brought me back here. But look for that support system, which is very important. And it's not only in terms of family or something. Within the house, getting a good somebody who can take care of along with you, your children or the food or everything, because that becomes like a backbone.
These matters. It's not only profession. It's about life also. Any support system.
Okay. So that support system, whether it is outside your family, within your family, somebody who is like a caretaker within the family, it gives you so much confidence, and you can balance your life in more comfortable way, rather than spending time in scolding your children. You can spend eating with them, and because the food has been cooked by somebody else. So be smart, look out for those options who can give you that kind of
all kinds of support for that
and they
matter.
become and they become like backbone of your whole journey. And I'm again thankful to all those people who have been they have been there as backbone for my
nice good. Yeah, absolutely. And I see Soumya has some question for you. So we will take that one question, even though I was almost about to say you goodbye. And it's a good thing. Okay. Soumya, would you please ask the question?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, thank you so much. It was such an insightful journey. You took us through your journey. My question was, at the last, you gave a message for the youngsters. So I would like to hear from you. How many years would you recommend the younger generation to work and then start their practice?
At least 4 to 5 years, as per me, because 1 or 2 years, you just learn to understand what happens in an office, kya working hoti hai, how to interact with clients, how to interact with consultants, how to work in a team, and because if you have any architectural project takes minimum 2 years to, right from concept to delivery of that project, that is the minimum span of time, I would say 2 years. Don't you agree?
Yes,
2 to 3 years. So in that span, if you have, if you want to experience, and you might want to change office also, 2 years you have worked in one office and another 3 years in some other office. So that's the experience you need, so that you have worked on variety of projects, so that you know enough what happens, what are the challenges, so that you come out very strong when you want to start your own practice. So it is for that confidence building.
And also you have to wait for the project. You have to also wait for the opportunity to arrive. So while you are working for 4 or 5 years, when you are gaining confidence, one can start looking for projects, because projects are not going to come from day one. So you have to also work on getting the project. So, so having a you know, an office where you can bank upon, where you can learn from senior, is also kind of a you know, backup support for you, because you can't start from zero. So that is something important. So if, because these kids are asking questions, I should also ask Anmol, do you have any question? Because she is doing her research on architecture. What is architecture? As my intern.
Oh.
Yes. Anmol, do you have any questions for Shruti ma'am?
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much, ma'am. Like, it was a very great journey. I got to know about you, and like I really experienced the things. And like at my early age, like I just want to open up my own like construction firm, and for that I want to get to know the architectural things. Also, because I'm a civil engineering student, so like like the thing you told us right now, that 4 to 5 years, so yeah, it is a great thing, but like sometimes we also feel that time is a constraint, like it is a kind of I don't know, but it is a kind of psychological question I'm asking. Like sometimes we feel that we need to give our parents the best we want, and like, and for that we feel that time is constrained at some point. So like how should we manage these things? Like I want to open up my venture, I want to make my parents more proud on me, I want to make more and more wealth at the same time. So I just think that I should go for my own venture just after my engineering. So how should we cope up these kind of things?
I would say making your parents proud is not alone by earning good money. It comes with various other things. If you're working on a prestigious project in some firm, or even if it is not a large scale project, it is a design of 2, 3 nice residences or anything for that matter. When that takes shape, you can always make them feel, okay, this is the project I have worked on, and the kind of satisfaction they would get out of that thing, probably you cannot imagine. Of course they'll be very happy when you earn good amount of money, you earn and give the money in their hands. That is a different kind of satisfaction. But these things also matter, especially parents ko ye sab zyada samajh mein aata hai. And eventually when you will build up your own practice, you will have your small milestones, so that would also give lot of pleasure to them. So parents have a different psychology, and children have very different psychology, needless to say. So don't be, and again, I would say nothing can be achieved by rushing into something, So by saying that if I start my practice just 1 or 2 years after my education, and I will be able to earn much more and make my parents feel very proud about it, it may be true, it may not be true. So it all depends. I hope I could answer your question.
Yeah, I think
Yes,
because she's young also, she will also learn, being a woman, over time, that women do believe in the fact that going slow is much more successful than rushing and doing wrong. We have learned it hard way. So bit by bit, वो कहावत है ना, बूंद बूंद से बूंद बूंद से सागर भरता है, या whatever is that, there is this कहावत. So
कितनी भी टेक्नोलॉजी आ जाए, chapati making has to happen in that particular way only. You have to have that patience, you have to follow that procedure, okay, making the dough and whatever, and
all the people explore shortcut to chapati, and shortcut is getting it from the market, So, but then you don't get the taste. But so we are eventually talking of the quality. We are talking about the quality delivery.
Yes. It has to happen in that way.
She will learn over time that fast is important. We all try, but it will be, I think, very subjective, depending on the people, their caliber, their opportunities. Somebody may get a good company, as you rightly mentioned. You should have a good, your setup. And the setup can be personal or professional. So you may get a good setup and a good opportunity in 2 years, but you may get that in 5 years, 7 years. But on an average, I mean, I think Shruti and I can agree that it takes somewhere around 5 to 7 to 10 years to really establish your practice in architecture. Even if I look back to me and my husband, up to 7 years, it was hand to mouth situation. You know, I mean, you still have to have trust that we can do it and continue doing it. And then, of course, it's everyday struggle and fun. So it's not an easy profession, by the way, and I'm sure we both realize it. Every day is a new challenge, but new fun also.
Yeah.
So that's part of life. We have to live every day, in short, and that also tells that too much of digital life is not good for health. So, and now we will keep dragging and asking Shruti all the questions which are outside this research, and that may also not make her happy about us. So thank you so much, Shruti, and thanks a lot again to come forward and helping us in the research. And I look forward to learning more from you. And keep doing the good work. You are very well known, and we are all proud of you and the way you are contributing to the city.